Hey, Punekar news lovers. So happy to see you all back with us for this exclusive second episode of Brewing Happiness, where we have promised that we will brew happiness one cup at a time. And today, it is indeed my pleasure and an honor for me to have with us Chandra Sir. Now, Chandra Sir is the founder and managing trustee of Buddha CEO Quantum Foundation. He has also been the former vice president at IBM Corporation. He is the co founder of former CEO of Sanofi Technologies. Sir, the illustrious career path list that you have, it just goes on. I mean, it's you've worked with the top Fortune 100 companies in the globe, and now we see you as a transformational coach. We see you where a lot of the people around the globe look up to you for some amazing tips and tricks when it comes to mindful activities or breathwork activity. uh, on that note, sir, firstly, along with the viewers of Punekar News Channel, we would love to extend a warm welcome to you. You have graced the occasion, you have honored our request to be a part of mental health awareness program for 2024. We are indeed grateful to you for accepting our invitation and joining us at Brewing Happiness, which is an exclusive one on one conversation by Punekar News. And it is being broadcast on all of their official news, all of their official social handles. Along with the viewers of Punekar News Channel, we welcome you and we welcome the viewers who continue joining us. They've already joined us. I can see quite a number that has joined us. And we welcome you with open arms, sir. And
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vijay, and thank you, Punekar News. And definitely the way you said it, Punekar News lovers. So thank you for
absolutely.
dialing into this program. Yes, it is always a pleasure and a joy to share things that helped us. And so that's how, even though I'd been having a great career, so at some point, I it came natural to me when I came into mindfulness, when I came into breath awareness. And as things start changing, it came natural to me, and then even through my teacher, it came natural that you share what you experience most joyful thing. And so that's what is happening to me, Mr. Vijay, in my life now, is to share that things that have changed my perspective of life, and then how you can live a great life. Okay.
Absolutely, sir. So what your mentor is saying here, and there's a profound statement that you made in if I could just sum it up, that comes from the universe, back must it go to the universe. Would you agree with that?
1000%.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Uh, thank you once again, sir, joining us, and we once again welcome the new viewers who have just joined us, and I can see the number growing. So my first question will be, what according to you is stress? What is anxiety according to you? What is that dreaded word that we call, depression? What according to you is, if you could just simplify it in lucid, in simple words for our audience?
Yes. You know, having these stray thoughts, thoughts that are randomly there back and forth, uncontrollable thoughts in my mind, and those are checking in constantly about a past or a future, is can be considered stress. Things that happen over and over and over again in our mind about things that are no longer have control on, but then we think about them, we worry about them, we feel anxious about them. And so these are all those random thoughts, the thoughts that are there everywhere, which put a lot of pressure on the system in our body, where they move the body into an emergency state. So that's called stress. And I say emergency is just simple. Suppose there's a fire alarm in a building. And so when we are all working and then fire alarm is there, we have to drop everything we're doing and then we have to run to a safe place. So that's the situation where we are in an emergency mode. So the stress is all these uncontrollable thoughts that are there back and forth, mostly about past or future. And those thinking about them again and again is eventually a mental stress. It's called stress on the body, is mental stress. There is chemical stress, which is where we eat all kinds of stuff that body is difficult to digest, depending on the composition. There's no good and bad, but certain compositions the body cannot take it based on the way mind is thinking about those things we take. Then is mental, the chemical stress, right? Of course, there's physical stress is there, which is generally good. Physical stress is, if you're walking and there is a dog chasing at you, then you got to protect yourself. The body also goes into a stressful mode. There is a physical stress. Now that happens. Okay, there all are different stress conditions. Stress by itself is not negative. Stress is there. It puts us into sometimes into an active mode to do things more, to realize our potential, right? So I'll stop there in asking. But however, the whole mental stress game that is happening now, in terms of having enormous amount of worry of past or future, is causing a significant load on the body in the way body functions. And so that is a challenge, because it is directly leading to a lot of ill health and then many conditions in the body. Okay.
The moment I realize that it's a stressful situation, or my thoughts are going back in the past, or things that I'm worried about what will happen tomorrow or the next moment, is the moment when I refuse to accept what's happening in the present. So, how would you constructively have everyone, so to say, to be aware of what thoughts to keep with themselves, or what thoughts to discard the moment they enter your mind, because thoughts are such that they will keep coming. We cannot, unfortunately, be the masters of our thoughts so soon, but something that will help us is, perhaps, how do we sort of analyze the thoughts that enter our minds, and how do we maneuver over them? What would be your take on that?
So there are two aspects to this. One is to understand. The more we understand about any concept scientifically, because science then is motivating us, inspiring us to do things better, differently. The more we understand that those thoughts that are there, random thoughts, stray thoughts, or if I'm brooding over something that has happened, like say 1 year ago, and I keep thinking about it again and again. But if you understand what impact it's having on our future as well as on our present body health and situations, and if you recognize that it has significant negative impact, number one, then suddenly we are inspired to take a different action. So first thing I would say is that we need to just understand what happens to the body if I'm brooding over things that are unnecessarily. Okay. But the second thing is, in order to apply this knowledge, being able to come into the present moment awareness, called mindfulness. As you said, the thoughts are there. They're there. They are just going. On an average, we are thinking about 50,000 thoughts a day. If somebody is
Wow.
very stressful, they are having about 70,000 thoughts. It's ranging between 12 to 50,000, sometimes to 70,000 thoughts a day, according to various researchers. Now, in that, 95% are negative or redundant. 95%.
True.
Only
Absolutely true.
5% is useful. And so then this 95% negative or redundant are fundamentally causing a negative reality. Applying a
Which
quantum physics principle,
maybe
applying,
which doesn't exist.
maybe it doesn't exist. Well, if I worry about and say, oh, because that person is no longer there, or because I had this huge financial loss, my life is going to be horrible go forward. And if I thinking about it, suppose I had a business loss and I had this happen 1 year ago, But if I keep thinking about it, if we bringing it up in a family, in a dining table conversations with a friend or a drink, and I keep thinking, talking about, say, my life is going to be horrible because I just don't know how to pay off these debts. It's just going to be like this for me forever. And I use these statements with a lot of feeling attached. And so then we are actually attracting more such situations into our life. Using a quantum physics principle that observation manifests possibilities of the infinite possibility. Observation is somebody's thought and feeling consciously being present on something that you're thinking over and over, and then you are bringing an event of that nature, because then your body is so used to that emotion, it needs to feel more of that emotion, and so then it needs to create that thing. But the quantum field principles are that what you think is what you are attracting into your life. This is a very, very powerful concept, which is there in spiritual parlance. They're there. If you there are many ways. There is a concept of placebo effect. There is, if you look at very successful leaders, they all talk about man is nothing but the product of their thought. If that's Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi, what you think upon is what you become. Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can see it. If you can dream it, you can see it. There are many, many. If you study, it all come to that your thoughts are fundamental drawing experiences. One of the core reasons of why successful people, successful leaders, have always said, no matter what the challenge is, they're able to stay on the very, very positive, or they're able to stay on their goals of where they want to go, no matter what's happening today. So applying
Absolutely.
the principle, I just want to say that if we have a negative thought, and so then I'm doing two things. In the present, I'm suffering my body, and then there is a huge science here. I'm saying how body gets into trouble when you are thinking negatively again and again, putting that stress. And then not only that, then I'm also causing my future to be exactly that by saying and then feeling the same thing over and over. Stop there.
It's what it's called the strangest secret of the world, where the greatest philosophers, the scientists, the spiritual masters, the great men of mankind, everybody may have a different opinion or a perspective towards different aspects of life, but something they all agree unanimously, what I personally feel, is that man is a product of his or her own thoughts, and that's very well put up. And sir, you yourself have been associated with, if I could say, Fortune 50 companies around the globe. I'm sure you must have had your own set of stressful moments, your own set of moments where you were anxious about a decision or the decision that you took. Uh, how would you manage that kind of a situation, being the visionary leader that you are?
Yes, um, for me, there is, before I got into mindfulness, this breath awareness techniques, which was about 25 years ago, and then life after that, life before, life after. Because the life after is a lot more smooth and easy for two reasons. One, that with a mindfulness where it develops a lot of awareness of the present moment. The mindfulness, what it is doing is to bring all the energy into the present moment, and it is also helping slowly one disengage from the past, because a lot of times we act based on a past, right? Based on a past experience, we are deciding and saying things are going to be not that great or great based on the past, and so most of the time the worries are of the past, not so great moments. And so mindfulness activities, a breath awareness, brings their awareness into the present so that it helps you to slowly disconnect from the past. And so in the present. So first and foremost, that means, somebody scolded you, somebody gave me a review, not necessarily a great comment in a business review, in a peer review. Before meditation me, I mean, before this mindfulness me, then it was a moment of, hey, how can somebody just try to expose me, this is how you would think about, worry about, and then say, what can I in return go back and do? No, I have to disprove the other person, this is, he's wrong or she's wrong. That kind of thought, or feeling bad that, no, how could I do such a simple mistake, is raised up in commonly among 15 people in a meeting review. Those were tough things for me, because I was very, very competitive. And so anybody pointed any little thing wouldn't be acceptable to me. And so didn't even realize I put so much stress on me by thinking that I am like, unknowingly had this internal image to me that whatever I did was got to be really great. But if somebody raised a comment, wouldn't just accept it. All right, that was an image issue. Internal, it's called internal ego. There's an external ego, internal ego. You don't seek a position, but you are, putting a lot of pressure onto you by having this internal trying to measure up to yourself. Okay, so it was putting a lot of pressure. But post meditation, post my mindfulness activity, when I came in, and especially what I practice is some breath awareness, breath mindfulness activity of observing the breath. And so what it does is to slowly moves us into a present moment, being there. And if you practice it for every day for, let's say, 15-20 minutes, and then you are in the present moment, meaning even though there are a lot of stuff happening like this, those peer comments, and maybe that review did not go well, or you're not getting a promotion stuff the way you wanted it, or whatever that is. But the mindfulness brings you and stays you calm, and then be in the current moment of what you're doing. So that meeting I had with my manager about the hike, and did not go too well, is generally forgotten from that moment. And it is again brought up when I'm having the next conversation about it, but not necessarily in what I'm doing right now. Okay. And so then that is a great way of, it was always helped me, because, when you are in the present moment, you are focusing on present. So your experience in the present is great. Your performance in the present is great. Right. So this is how I was handling. And I was also introduced a lot of this knowledge and wisdom about what is the downside of we brooding over, thinking over the same thing again and again. And so when we understand scientifically, for example, our body has a beautiful mechanism to respond to dangers, external dangers. Suppose you're walking in a forest, and then so suddenly an animal comes at you, and you don't know what to do, right? So then we need to be able to, what do we do? Two aspects are there. Either you can fight or fly, run away, or fight. There are two things, two choices there. Really, those two choices. You have quickly make an assessment and say, what is going to happen to me? One of these you're going to take. Now, if you want to run away or fight, you need a lot of energy at that point. The body automatically senses and then puts that energy into the present moment by disconnecting energy from other sources, and then gives a lot more supply into the hands and legs so that you can fight or you can run away. Eyesight is also it made focus towards it so that you can't distract yourself. Many things happen automatically through the intelligent body as soon as it gets a signal. Now it is good, and so that you can fight or protect your body, and then for example the animal thing is gone away in a few minutes, and you come back. This whole process for work, right, it has to dump a lot of chemicals into the bloodstream called cortisol. Now the cortisol in the bloodstream has so much of a negative effect. It keeps you alert, you can't sleep, and because of this cortisol chemicals are required, all blood resources are disconnected from many parts of the body. That means other functions don't work well. Good for a few minutes. Now, mental stress. Now, if I take an event, 6 months ago, I had an argument with my boss. And then if I keep thinking about, talking about to every friend, every time I have a coffee with my people, and every time I see the boss, every time I see somebody else bringing up another boss issue, I bring my issue. So that means I'm living on that again and again. Now, the thing is, our brain does not know the difference between what is happening externally, physically, or in my mind. So it is considered as main stress issue. It moves the body into the same emergency mode, a protective mode. So, for example, when I understood this science, where if I'm keeping my body in a stressful state constantly, that means I've got this cortisol in my bloodstream constantly. That means no sleep. That means many of the body functions are not working great. I have indigestion problems, hormonal imbalances. I can't take decisions well because none of the glands work very well. And so all kinds of challenges were there. I had huge backache, right? I had huge backache. I used to get occasional headaches. And I used to have ear block problems. If I take a flight and come down, they were not going away. But all of them disappeared when I took to this mindfulness practice. And 4 months later, I'm a totally different person with respect to my health. And because I had this deep scientific understanding, immediately with the mindfulness practice, I come into the awareness and say, hey, wait a minute. If I'm thinking something about past again, same way, it is only going to hurt me much more badly. So what's the point? All right. So that thing comes up. So we need to have knowledge, and we need to have the awareness in the moment to apply the knowledge. And so then we'll absolutely have a great life. I mean, a great change in the way we are thinking about past.
Great, great, sir. So thank you so much on that note. And do you think that forgiveness will help? Like
Forgiveness.
the example that you gave, that I was thinking about an instance wherein I may have had a heated argument or a discussion with my manager, and I brood over those negative thoughts, and my cortisol is affected. So in that situation, does forgiveness help? Do you feel that forgiveness will help?
Forgiveness will greatly help. Absolutely helps. The only thing is that we need to be able to elevate ourselves to that consciousness to say, yes, I can genuinely forgive a other person. When will you forgive somebody? When you can look up the other person as much as your, let's say, your close friend or a close family member. Because we easily forgive a family member. So let's say my son, if he did something, I won't even hold anything. My best friend, if it did something, I won't hold. Okay, maybe something they didn't have a good day that day. Maybe that's why they did this. So we need to be able to embrace everybody else as close as your family or your close friends. Then forgiveness will work great. But forgiveness by itself is a great tool for us to utilize. Forgiveness, gratitude, these are wonderful tools that we apply, and so we release the pressure off of us, right? But we need to get to that state of embracing others as us. And these mindfulness activities actually help us to connect. In this quantum field, according to quantum physics, we're all energy and matter very little. We are 99.99% energy and matter
Wow.
0.01%.
Wow.
0.0001% matter. Everything in the universe is that
Energy.
energy. Now, in the energy, it's like a wave. You are energy and I'm energy, and so waves. Now, waves are staying in one place. The waves spread out. Waves spread out. Like there are 100 light bulbs are there. They are different, but then when they're all powered on, all light comes together. They could be 100 different colors. They come together one light. Will you be able to separate them? You can't. There'll be one light. You know that. So the quantum field where we're all energy. I mean, this is quantum physics. I can tell you. And so we're all energy. And so then in the field as energy, we're all one. They're connected. There's no separation. But
And so,
here we are, as observed entities, we are of course separate, but the mindfulness activities sort of help you to experience some of these aspects, so they naturally sort of give you the feeling that other person and me, not much difference. So then it slowly brings you a more empathy, and some of those are required. So then it's easy to forgive, easy to forget, easy to give gratitude. All this will become easy.
great, great, sir. And also in the quantum field, when we are talking about manifestation, uh, can we manifest a healthy, holistic life for ourselves? I mean, if I were to ask you, what's your go-to positive affirmation when you're face to face with a difficult situation, or you're in a stressful situation, or where you sort of get anxious? So, my question is, can we manifest a healthy and a holistic life for ourselves? If
you know
yes, how?
yes.
And what's your personal go to positive affirmation which you keep on reminding yourself?
Okay. So, I mean, that's a great point, especially in the context of Mental Health Awareness Week, right? I used to, everything you think, when you are manifestation, it means having a great positive or miraculous thought, aided with feeling about things that you're looking to attract into your life,
Hmm.
right? I used to, when I'm calling on many senior executives, especially in governments, as part of my company, because we're doing enterprise selling, standing in front of the senior people, because they had to sell to CEO or no, pretty much the top person, CXOs, and standing in front of them and then trying to convince for them just to have that. There's a lot of fear, and the big meetings are so important. One is fear of presentability, and second is a big meeting, the outcomes, because you get a meeting after 3 months and then you can't, you cannot really screw it up.
Deliver.
You can't just do it, right? You got to make it successful. And so then that fear, and if you got to carry with fear go in, then definitely something is not necessarily great happening, because you're not in your aligned very well in your body and mind, of the fear is there. And so what I used to do, because mindfulness activity and then applying this, creating a manifestation that comes in. So simply taking a 2 minute pause and then having a greater thought. I'm having a great meeting today, connecting, and everybody is actually received the points that we put across, and then I'm having a great outcome. So having this statement like this, truly believing positively, changing your mind dialogue about it, rather than saying, walking into the meeting and say, I don't know whether I can perform or not, I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know whether I can field questions. Now that is one set of thinking, right? Other is this way: if thoughts create reality, thoughts attract things is true, and then which is true. So I used to change this dialogue of the mind, and so then go into the meeting, invariably come out of it within a very, very successful outcome. Okay. Now we apply this on a daily basis. So by default, we fundamentally become a very, very positive being with various understandings. And one of that is that your thoughts attract good things, and so then you are there. We have to experiment with it for this to really work right. Because when you experiment, you do it once, then your brain circuits get formed strong. It's neuroscience, right? Whatever you do once is some set of circuits. You repeat it a second time, it's formed. You come to an aha moment, they get formed a lot more stronger. So a few times over, when you repeat and then do experimentation, then suddenly you have a deep strong circuit that says, yes, no matter what my current situation, if I think strongly positively and then I act like that, then things are going to turn around. And so we start applying it. So we need to experiment a few times and then get this. And in order to experiment a few times and be in the aware in a situation where you need to actually think differently, then your body is asking you to think the past way, requires you to have that awareness, which is called breath awareness, which is called the mindfulness. Okay.
So
There
that's
is a
like having a
there's a beautiful book. I'd like to just close the point, called "Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself" by Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's an
okay.
amazing book. Amazing book. It's not. It is totally different from any other self-help books that you might have read about this or how to change, create a habit. Breaking the habit of being yourself is talking, connecting how our subconscious programs are sending a response. How our amygdala gets hijacked. Amygdala is the fear center. It gets hijacked through a subconscious emotion that's already programmed, and it all happens pretty quickly under a second response, whereas the conscious mind, which knows that I have to think differently but it cannot because it requires multiple seconds to respond. And so then it talks about how to identify the subconscious programs and then to break them. And so what are the ways you can break them? So very, very scientifically explained book. We recommend to our groups all the time that book to be read. Okay.
I sure am going to refer to this book, and I will get back to you with the positive outcome.
Yes.
And if I were to say, it's like having a constructive conversation with yourself, like how you said that you bring out those affirmations and you sort of repeat yourself, you experiment that maybe once, twice, and I'm going to request you, sir, if we can have a short experiment with our live audience at the moment, maybe for not more than 2 minutes, wherein you could just share. We all close our eyes and sort of do this
Breath
breath
awareness.
awareness breath awareness activity. We all do it together because I also believe the power of group positive affirmations, they go beyond the reach that we can ever imagine. But before I request you to do so, there's one last question. I've received a couple of direct messages on my Instagram as well, and I wanted to put forth that to you. Is how important for you, when we talk about mental health awareness, sort of spreading awareness about this topic. How important is having sense of humor according to you?
A lot.
Yeah.
Even the research shows that with humor, of course, we are relaxing ourselves. The body goes into relaxation mode. That means all the stressful thoughts disappear when we are in this humorous state. So many muscles are relaxing, and the body goes into the balance state called homeostasis. So humor is helps greatly to be able to uh, um, watch films that have humor and then make it easy and then become light about things. We give too much
True.
importance for every small thing to big thing, and so just have to become lighter about it.
True. Great, great. And there's one question that we have received a couple of times. It's come to my direct message. It's come to my DMs. Is with the expansion of AI, with our mobile phones in our hands, with tablets and all the advanced technology that we have, since we also wish to infuse positivity into the younger generation, what do you think is the strength of the current generation versus the ones just before them? Because now we see that the younger generation is sort of, said that, okay, avoid screen time, avoid something, but we also wish to infuse positivity into them. So, what do you feel is their strength that they can work upon, and also work simultaneously to, sort of judicially use their gadgets, or sort of, their screen time, and sort of be more with themselves through these awareness techniques that we speak about? So, what according to you is the current generation's strongest, their strength?
To me, current generation is more evolved.
Oh, interesting.
Evolved in the sense because their ability to understand and grasp things is much high.
Wow.
Right? For example, concepts like untouchability, I mean, it's social issues, right? Now they easily understand the depth of it pretty quickly because there is an enormous amount of I mean, there is fundamentally there aspect, there is spiritual aspect that evolution is happening constantly, and evolution is happening at a rapid pace. What do I mean by that? It took in a 2 years, two generations, one generation before, it took, for example, 30 years for someone to buy a house. Now it takes 5 years for someone to get into an agreement to buy a house,
True.
right? Or promotions are happening faster, markets are growing faster than ever before, everything is happening. Now spiritual side also, there is something called evolution, and so there is an evolution happening rapidly. So that means we experience things faster, we experience things faster, we experience faster to a point where we understand and say experiences that are there as experiences. No point labeling them as good and bad, because what is good for somebody is not great for somebody else. So in order to gain to a balanced understanding, Bhagavad Gita says about shubha ashubha parityagi, that means you become equanimous to good and bad. It's a label that we give, something is bad, something is good. For somebody, mobile is great because getting them to do so many. For somebody's mobile really horrible because they got them into a habit of just they lost themselves in their browsing and browsing and browsing. All right.
True.
So the strength of younger generation, I feel, is that their ability, they're more evolved, their ability to see right and wrong, discern right and wrong is pretty quickly, and they're able to do it because they have a lot of knowledge at their disposal. Right? There's a lot of knowledge at their disposal. It is knowledge that liberates ultimately. The knowledge that liberates. So that's where knowledge to liberation, right? And so they have that at disposal. The questions that they ask, that's why to me, internet gadgets are wonderful, because that's like a third eye, right? Internet, TV is a third eye. You can see suddenly many things that you couldn't otherwise see. Okay. The thing is, who is the boss of whom? That's the question to ask.
True.
Is your mind mastering you? Are you mastering the mind? Because ultimately that's where you go about. And is your body the master of you, or are you the master of the body? Body means emotion, mind means thought. These two are sort of fundamentally drive an individual's behavior, right?
True.
And so if today in many cases, because of the subconscious programs, their body and mind is taking over us. And so if I start browsing, I don't have control. If I start it and then a second one comes, third one comes, fourth one comes, I go on, go on, go on, because I didn't have control of the way I am dealing with myself. If we gain the control and master your mind, and if we can do that, then our younger generation is going to be an amazingly beautifully have a great life, because they understand what is right and wrong pretty quickly. And so then they side by things that are fundamentally right, meaning, and then second, their strengths are live to the feeling. They want
Absolutely.
to they want to live to they express, they're boldly expressing, saying, I would like to experience this, great, right? So those are
Absolutely.
fundamentally to important to align to a feeling, so that we can do things that feel are giving us happiness and joy. Okay. But I mean, do
Absolutely.
need to do that with some balance, and this is where mastering our mind is important. So I would say that we need to work on, everybody needs to work on, not just them, everyone needs to work on mastering their mind. Okay.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, 6 months issue, 1 year issue, 30-year-old issue, we think about and say, because of that, because of this, I couldn't do it. And we're just there. We never come out of those things. We master the mind, then we'll not fall into these traps of past behaviors and past conditioning.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, and as much as I would love to continue this conversation, we are, we have the paucity of time. But something that I would request you is to have us walk us through a short experiment, as we said about breathwork awareness, maybe for a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and have our audience infused with positivity, with thoughts of good health, content life, and blessings, of course, for the entire universe. And on that note, we would hand it over to Chandra sir, post which we will bring this conversation, this heart to heart talk, to an end with a promise that we will see you next week with yet another exclusive guest with us who will enlighten us, who will bring us new flavors and techniques to brew happiness, not just for today, but for the rest of our lives. And on that note, I would hand it over to Chandra sir to walk us through a short experiment on brewing true happiness, taking that experiment and being awareness of our own breath. Over to you, sir.
Wonderful, Mr. Vijay. I think it's the beautiful words you said, not only to us, to everybody, provide this positivity. And what greatly helped me of the several things, there is a technique called heart elevation, breath awareness, and gratitude, many process visualization. But the one that most important, most easy, can be done anywhere by anybody is this breath awareness technique. And it is very simple. This technique is simply saying that these random thoughts are there everywhere in our mind, and then there are so many limiting thoughts in our subconscious, and to have to look into them, to get rid of them, all we are doing is to observing our natural breath, the way the breath is there. We simply have to close our eyes and observe the breath. So what the process is very simple, and that's why this is so, I loved it when I learned it in 99, and then I use it every day. And so all we have to do, close your eyes, and whoever they are, so you simply can close your eyes right now, right? And of course, we are driving, don't do that, but otherwise everyone else can do this. Close your eyes, and you do fingers into fingers, and then keep your hands comfortably in your lap. And what you do is put your attention anywhere on the nose as a reference point. And at that point, simply observe your natural breath, your in breath and out breath. The breath is going in and coming out. And so simply observe your breath as it goes in and as it comes out at that point, right? So by observing your breath, so I would like you to, at this point, close your eyes and rest your attention anywhere on the nose as a reference point, preferably in the middle of the eyebrows, the root of the nose, and observe your natural, normal in breath and the out breath. When you observe the breath, slowly our thoughts become lesser and lesser. Our mind slowly becomes empty. Be with your breath. Notice that gentle in breath and the out breath. No forceful inhalation or exhalation. Simply observe that breath. As you observe, the mind is becoming empty. Be in that state of emptiness. That's energy. Experience that energy. You may not. If you have any thought, as the mind slowly moves towards emptiness, thoughts may suddenly come. Anytime as you notice a thought, your attention back to that breath again at that point, and again start all over. 1 minute over, another 1 minute. Thoughts are natural, dear friends. Do not bother about thoughts. All you need to do when you notice thought, your attention to be back to breath again and observe the breath. Allow yourself to merge into your breath and allow yourself to experience that emptiness inside of you, all around you. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Slowly keep your hands over your eyes for 5 seconds and then you can open your eyes. Okay, friends, so that simple technique, breath awareness, which practically can be done anywhere. I always do it in a flight, when I'm waiting for a flight, in a meeting, waiting for a meeting. Anywhere you can do it. And then do it for, if you're a 20-year-old, if you're 20-year-old, 20 minutes, 30-year-old, 30 minutes, little later age, longer. But start with 15, 20 minutes is great, and then slowly increase it. All right.
With
And
with folded hands, we would like to extend and we would like to express our deep gratitude to you, sir. And we would like to invite the audience on 6th and 7th July at Yashoda Auditorium, Pune, which is the second regional conference of meditation leaders, where we will get an opportunity, an exclusive opportunity indeed, to meet Chandra sir in person. And the details of this will be sent. You can read the comments, or on this uh, live telecast that we are going through, you will have the details given. This will be for registered individuals only, so please do register and we will be sharing more details on this. Once again, sir, with folded hands, we would like to thank you. And more details are given on the Buddha CEO website. You can log into the Buddha CEO website and just see the details and register on it. And we will be blessed with an opportunity to catch up with Chandra sir in person there. Thank you so much, viewers. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Vijay, for this. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and thank you all, Punekar news lovers. Great to be connecting on this matter. Buddha means greatly mindful inside. CEO means very successful outside. So we'll have both worlds greatly conquered. That's what we are sharing through these awareness techniques. So connect with us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Once again, thank you, Punekar News Lovers. Thank you.